happened. But I loved just even like, I think on the divine feminine, sometimes, that can, I think sometimes people have a lot of connotations about that, but this whole kind of period that we're in at the moment. And I think there's been a real rebalance coming of the feminine in terms of we've come from really like decades of a very hard masculine dominance. So I suppose a lot of what we're working with now is kind of trusting and, dropping in to this space and seeing what evolves. And it feels like we were speaking about the fear, like it feels scary because this isn't really like we've been a bit programmed to be like controllers, to be, making plans, making goals and reverse engineering, but we're kind of in a different paradigm now at the moment.
And you see, this is the other thing, that we're not just us and this planet, but it's astrology too. We are going now from a time where we've had 200 years, as you say, of patriarchy, the element which was the earth. So that was the element of consumerism, patriarchy, dominance. Now we've just entered, since solstice, the 21st of December, we've entered the element of air, which is really what we're all about. Your yoga is all about breathing. The spirit is, which isn't just another word for breath actually, in Hebrew and in Greek, is also about breathing in the spirit, breathing in beyond the names that we associate with God, beyond Muhammad, Krishna, Christ, and so on. We're breathing in the breath of the divine. So here we are, and of course we're celebrating the three wise men. I have my little coming, guided by a star again. So we're being guided by a star. And this is the other thing, that do join us, because these three wise men were bringing gifts. And so we want you, after our time together, to give yourself three gifts. They brought frankincense, which of course is smell, incense, smell, that's the connection to the divine there. They bought myrrh, which is oil, and that's for blessing ourselves. And then they bought gold, reminding us of the connection to the divine. So it's a great symbol. I'll be talking about that symbolism over, without being too theological or too serious about it.
Well, there's something I just wanted to pick up on the theological element, because there's a real road that I've started going down now, and even just since we've been chatting, because we've been kind of talking about, I suppose, like spirituality in Ireland has changed. And I remember someone remarking to me a few years ago that like the kind of like the spirituality side in Ireland, it had become quite a difficult place, because obviously we've been through so many different stories and scandals and things like that. So I even personally sometimes feel like, there was kind of this element of just like, dropping a lot of that, in this really dramatic way, that we just dropped a lot of things, but it's not, it's not possible to drop things in that way. So it's kind of like, I think through conversing with you a lot, it's kind of like, there's always been this idea of like the Celtic spirituality as well. And like, that's something that I've been really getting into. And it's kind of just this really interesting time in the moment in Ireland where it's just spirituality in Ireland is at this really like interesting place. And I think we're kind of playing around a lot in that space at the moment.
Yes, you're so right there. And that's why it's so exciting actually, because the churches are closed. And they're gone. So we have to create our own new spirituality ourselves. And we can't do that in our own, Gráinne, that's why I love this collaboration. We have to be in community with the people who will join us on Wednesday. Lots of different gatherings and communities are being formed now, and sort of, going straight up, having the gin with no tonic, straight up, no mixers at all, because the church, yes, had its day, and we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there are some great treasures, like rituals. This is a time for ritual, isn't it, really? When we've been on our own, we've needed our rituals in our homes. Our homes have become our little temples. And, you know, as I say, when I was inside in your virtual, in your room there with you the other day, this was a new spirituality, a new way of being together and celebrating too, as best we can.
I think that's so big, like the being together. For me, that's just, you know, I think kind of live events and being together, because we just, you know, you can't exist without that. And that's so much of the challenge that the last kind of year has brought us. So I know that that's definitely what I'm completely drawn to, is just, it has to be about connection. It has to be about the live transmission, and it has to be about finding these ways like to gather in a way. Because if you think about it, like when we're out and about these days, it's all like masked, you're standing away from people. It's just so hard to gather with people now.
Absolutely. And so, but the spirit is still there and the longing is still there. You know, we all have this DNA in us of longing to, you know, to know who we are, to how can we cope with our brokenness, because we are all broken. But yet we're all blessed. And of course, that is the message then too of this one little wise person who's coming with myrrh, the oil, to bless us and for us to know that we are not alone and we're not to be lonely. We're alone, all right, but there's a difference, I suppose, between aloneness and loneliness or lonesomeness. So
yeah, I love that. I love I'm just so excited to come together and you know, and to gather kind of like maybe a different group of people than we've had before, because we're coming together like this. So really looking forward to it. Like, I just think it's going to be magic.
agus bíling an sé ó lá dé céadín sa chuig agus há míad a thabhart gaol deit go méid rudéigent ditse an ad idir an córá a Gráinne.